Hi, you are watching Sealclops book reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Vampire Academy series by Richelle Mead. All 6 books, so I'll get to it and be as quick as I can. Thank you. And as you can see, we have a little guest. This is Rocky. He wants to review the books as well. Okay, so let's get started. So the genre for these books, they're primarily young adult fantasy. They have aspects of romance and the paranormal throughout. So how do the books compare with other books in the genre? So although the series is primarily listed as young adult, I have found no shortage of adults willing to share their fond memories regarding the books. They have a mature element to them that some other young adult books lack. And how does it match up with your expectations of that genre? So people of all ages can enjoy reading Richelle Mead's Vampire Academy series. There are not too many young adult series that I'm still interested in reading at this point in my life. However, the Vampire Academy series is one of those exceptions. So I've actually read this series. The first 3 books I've read 3 times since my mid-teen years. The last 3 books I've read twice. The first 3 being a time more because the last 3 weren't released yet, to show how far back it was. Okay, so the very first book I have is simply called Vampire Academy. It's the first in the Vampire Academy series, and I actually have physical copies of all of these. You will notice when I show the rest that my cover for the first book does not match the rest. That is something my OCD really does get to me, but at this point I have all 6 books in quite good condition for how old they are, and I'm not looking to replace them, even though it does cross my mind every now and then, maybe in the future. Okay, so for my latest reread of all these, actually, I listened to them via an audiobook as well while I was travelling to and from work, and it was quite a good way to read them as well. Very well done, these audiobooks. So the summary for the first book. Lissa Dragomir is a Moroi princess, a mortal vampire with a special gift. She must be protected at all times from Strigoi, the fiercest undead vampires that never die. Rose Hathaway, Lissa's best friend, is a Dahampia. They say this a few different ways in the audiobook, so Dampire, Dampia. I refer to it a few different ways, as you'll probably pick up. Is the Dampierre consisting of half human, half vampire blood. Rose's life is dedicated to protecting Lissa as her guardian from the Strigoi, who are hell-bent on making her one of them, or worse. After spending 2 years on the run, Rose and Lissa are caught and dragged back to St. Vladimir's Academy, a school for vampires and their guardians-to-be, hidden away from the human world. They must pick up where they left off without revealing the reason for their escape 2 years prior. With blossoming relationships and teenage power struggles, Rose and Lissa must navigate the not-so-hidden dangers constantly chasing them down. So the analysis, plot and theme. The plot for the series starts out strong in this book and seems to unfurl in a natural way. Rose and Lissa must work out how to return to school life while researching Lissa's rare magic and managing her link depression. Rose must catch up on the Guardian training she missed while on the run by attending extra training sessions with the infamous Dimitri. Before long, Rose and Dimitri start to develop feelings for each other they must hide from others for both of their reputations. While this is all happening, strange things are happening to Lissa, resulting in increasingly dangerous outcomes. The theme is based around vampires and the hidden world they live in. It includes teenagers growing into adults, politics, and political change and lasting relationships. So this theme is the same across all 6 books. Pacing, emotion, ending, and plot holes. So the pacing for the book is easy to follow. The page count is on the lower end at only 332 pages. However, so much is packed into it without it feeling like too much. It helps that the series has multiple books, so the characters are able to develop over time without feeling rushed. You notice Rose's attitude maturing throughout the series too. Whether I'm reading the physical book or listening to the audiobook whilst travelling to and from work, I find that I get so engaged that if I'm not careful, my face reflects my emotions, resulting in some funny looks from people, especially on public transport. I I may just be biased from my love of the series, but I don't remember any major plot holes. The end of Vampire Academy is fulfilling enough not to need an immediate follow-up, but leaves you wanting more. So, the main characters in this series. So, up in the very top right, we have Mia Rinaldi. She is short, doll-like appearance with blonde ringlets and blue eyes. She is Moroi, specializes in water, angry, manipulative, desperate to be popular, strongly for political change, and matures and becomes important later on without giving too much away. Then we go from the bottom left to right, we have Rosemary or Rose Hathaway. She is 5'7", tan with brown hair and eyes. She's a vampire novice. She is reckless and impulsive initially, strong, responsible, and extremely loyal. I put after book 2, she is grounded and responsible, shadow-kissed, and love interest of Dimitri. Then we have Vasilissa or Lissa Dragomir. She is 5'7", pale with pale blonde hair and jade green eyes. She is a Moroi, specializes in spirit, friendly, kind, and compassionate, idealistic, charismatic, and intelligent. She can be fragile at times, spirit-bound to Rose, and love interest of Christian. Then we have Dmitry Belikov. He is 6'7", so he is quite tall. He is of Russian descent with dark brown eyes and shoulder-length brown hair. He is a vampire, a guardian, so Rose is a novice, she's still training to become a guardian, whereas Dimitri is a full-on guardian. He is lethal, disciplined, discreet, and committed. He is quiet and soldier-like with a strict moral code, loving, strong, and loyal, and love interest of Rose. And then we have Christian Ozera. He is tall, pale with black hair and ice blue eyes, a Moroi, specializes in fire, brave, attractive, and sarcastic, seen as an outcast and often forgotten as royal, can be jealous and a rebel but very intelligent, and he is the love interest of Lissa. And then lastly we have Viktor Dashkov. He has black hair and jade green eyes, Moroi, specializes in earth, has a rare disease which is slowly killing him. So they actually say that not many vampires can become sick. They are immune to most human diseases. However, there are a few special circumstances and special diseases that can still harm them, and unfortunately Victor has one of those. He is a royal, and as a royal he is seen by Lissa as an uncle, so quite often they're not strictly related, but they refer to each other as uncle, cousin, aunt, that sort of thing. And he is willing to do anything to reach a desired outcome. Next in the Vampire Academy series, we have book 2, which is Frostbite. Mine are getting quite yellow on the pages as they are over 10 years old. Gosh, how old are they? They are probably closer to 15 years old. 14, 15, so they're getting quite yellow on the pages, but they're still good to read. So the summary. So Rose Hathaway's got serious guy trouble. Her gorgeous tutor Dimitri has his eyes on someone else. Her friend Mason has a huge crush on her, and she keeps getting stuck in her best friend Lissa's head while she's making out with her boyfriend Christian. Then a massive Strigoi attack puts St. Vladimir's on high alert, and the academy crawls with guardians, including the legendary Janine Hathaway, Rose's formidable, long-absent mother. The Strigoi are closing in, and the academy is not taking any risks. This year, St. Vlad's annual holiday ski trip is mandatory. But the glittering winter landscape and the posh Idaho resort only provide the illusion of safety. When 3 students run away to strike back against the deadly Strigoi, Rose must join forces with Christian to rescue them. Only this time, Rose and her heart are in more danger than she could ever have imagined. The analysis. Plot and theme. As with the first book, the plot is strong and easy to follow. Rose and Lissa must recover from the events that took place in Vampire Academy, while continuing to navigate the school's social ranks. Rose must keep her feelings for Dimitri a secret, while fighting for him to acknowledge their existence. All the while trying not to get sucked in Lissa's head while she spends intimate time with Christian. The outside world begins to get more dangerous with reports of Strigoi attacking and killing both Moroi and vampires alike. This results in the school upgrading the annual ski trip into a mandatory requirement. So these attacks become closer to home, causing a rogue group of teens to sneak out of protected grounds to hunt down the dangerous Strigoi. Rose and Christian must join together to get everyone back to safety. Pacing, emotion, ending, and plot holes. The pacing for Frostbite is fantastic in my opinion. With the book sitting at 327 pages, the emotional feel for the book is a roller coaster from extreme highs to deep lows, all while feeling authentic. There are no plot holes I feel the need to address for this book, however, the ending of the book is quite intense. I needed to continue reading straight away to see what comes next. And like I said before, I've already read this book twice before I reread it recently. And even remembering what happened, I had to continue on straight away. Okay, so new characters. I've changed all these so I'm not repeating myself. There is Natasha, or Tasha Ozira. She has pale black hair and pale blue eyes. Moroi specialises in fire. Raised purplish scars across her left cheek. Moroi, royalty removed from society. She is Kristen Ozera's aunt and closest relation, and is interested in a relationship with Dimitri, and she doesn't hide that fact. Janine Hathaway. She is barely over 5 foot tall, auburn hair and brown eyes. She is a vampire, high-ranked guardian, has a rocky relationship with Rose and as her mother. Portrayed as hard and cold but cares deeply. Then we have Mason Ashford. He is tall with red hair, blue eyes and pale freckled skin. He is a vampire, infatuated and brief love interest of Rose, brave, selfless and funny, understanding and prone to jealousy, and best friend to Eddie. Mason is a major character in this book. Then we have Eddie Castile. Tall with sandy blonde hair and hazel eyes, he is a vampire, seen as a secondary character to Mason as they are best friends. Brave, understanding and funny, views Rose as a sister of sorts due to her relationship with Mason and, like I said, best friend to Mason. And then we have Asaya. Roughly 6'4", pale with black hair and dark brown eyes with a red ring. This is one of the ways you can tell he's a Strigoi. He is incredibly old and powerful, extremely vain, and a little bit of a spoiler, he gets killed by Rose in this book. So he is one of the first times we encounter a Strigoi in this series face to face. Next up, we have book 3 of the Vampire Academy series, which is called Shadowkissed. And they slowly get larger and larger, as I will address in this review. The summary. After her friend Mason is killed by Strigoi, Rose Hathaway is reacting and reacting in atypical ways. Rose knows it is forbidden to love another guardian. Her best friend Lissa, the last Dragomir princess, must always come first. Unfortunately, when it comes to gorgeous Dmitry Belikov, some rules are meant to be broken. Then a strange darkness begins to grow in Rose's mind, and ghostly shadows warn of a terrible evil drawing nearer to the Academy's iron gates. The immortal undead are closing in, and they want vengeance for the lives Rose has stolen. In a heart-stopping battle to rival her worst nightmares, Rose will have to choose between life, love, and the 2 people who matter most. But will her choice mean that only one can survive? This summary is the regular summary blurb on the back of the books and you find on Goodreads. It has a spoiler right in the very first line there. Keep that in mind, this is public knowledge. I will try not to spoil anything else when I'm writing these reviews too much. I may slip up, so I'm sorry in advance. So, plot and theme. The plot remains strong and easy to follow. Rose is still in shock over the sudden death of her friend Mason. She has some mixed feelings due to the relationship that she must deal with, along with her ever-growing love for Dimitri. The much-anticipated field experience is finally underway at St. Vladimir's, allowing all of the Dampiers to show off their skills while protecting Moroi from Strigoi attacks. Saying that, it is actually the Guardians that work around campus posing as Strigoi. With a slight bump in the road when it comes to Rose's charge, she is all prepared to give the test her all, when she starts to experience some strange phenomenon. and adding to the mix her increasingly intense and irrational anger, more so than usual. On the heels of a secret meeting, unexplained injuries, and overwhelmingly dark emotions, Rose reaches her limit, causing Dimitri to subdue her. All seems well until the protective shields around the school disappear. Yes, this book. The pacing for this book was 148 pages, so jump up of roughly 100 pages there from the last. Really ramps up right at the very end, causing a serious book hangover and ending on a very cruel cliffhanger. Keep that in mind. The end of book 3 is the cruelest cliffhanger out of the whole series. You join Rose and Lissa as they deal with their inner emotions throughout the book, once again resulting in a rollercoaster of feelings. This book is a lot stronger on the feelings than the others have been, because you start to understand a bit more that's happening in the universe and with the powers, and it all sort of comes to light. They become to understand it a bit more. And the first time I read this book, I remember finishing book 3, sitting in shock, bawling my eyes out, thinking, what did Richelle Mead just do? How dare she? And I think that was like a year before the 4th book came out, and I wasn't sure if I could deal with it. So that's why the first read through of these, I only got through the first 3 books until about a year or 2 later, when they were all, well, not a year or 2 later, but when all 6 books were finally released is when I gave it another go, so I could breeze all through it. But that is why. Okay, so the main characters. Just need to move this so I can see my screen. So I'll start up the top again. There's Ralph Sarkozy. He has brown hair and brown eyes. He is Moroi, specializes in fire, always with Jessie, and a bully at St. Vladimir's. So you see him a bit more in this book, and he really gets on your nerves. With him underneath is Jesse Sealclops. He is tall, platinum blonde hair and blue eyes. He is also a Moroi and specializes in fire, always with his sidekick, Ralph, and he is also a bully and player at St. Vladimir's. So those two go hand in hand. That's why I started with those. But we'll go over to the other side, Sonia Karp. She is frazzled with constant new and old scratch marks. She is a Moroi and a Strigoi. You'll actually hear in this book, they're talking her in past tense as a Moroi, because she actually is a Strigoi at this time of events. She's specialised in spirit. She is self-turned Strigoi due to oncoming insanity. Love interest of her guardian, Mikhail. Next we have Queen Tatiana Ivashkov. She's in her early 60s with dark grey hair. Moroi, great aunt of Adrian, prickly and unpleasant, disliked Rose and blackmails her throughout the series. She does not approve Moroi fighting with the Guardians and works to decrease Guardian graduation age. So currently their graduation age is 18 when they leave high school. She's working to lower that to roughly 2 years to 16, which is not old enough. Next we have Adrian Ivashkov. He is 6'1", pale, chestnut brown hair and emerald green eyes. He is Moroi, specialises in spirit, self-medicate spirit side effects with smoking and alcohol, infatuated with Rose, outgoing and showy but brave, selfless and loyal, and very intelligent and rebellious. And then lastly, we have Eddie Castile. I know I just talked about him in the last book, but we mention him again because he drastically changes. So after Mason's passing, he becomes more reserved. He is a Dampire, I cannot say that word, serious and dedicated to his duties, willing to give everything to protect his friends even at his expense, and selfless and protective. Book 4 of the Vampire Academy series is Blood Promise. Now my version of Blood Promise and the next 2 books are all in the trade size, again differing from the first 3, which gets to me quite a bit, but that's because I bought them when they were still fresh out many years ago. The summary. Rose Hathaway's life will never be the same. The recent attack on St. Vladimir's Academy devastated the entire Moroi world. Many are dead. And for the very few victims carried off by Strigoi, their fates are even worse. A rare tattoo now adorns Rose's neck, a mark that says she's killed far too many Strigoi to count. But only one victim matters, Dmitry Belikov. Rose must now choose one of two very different paths. Honour her life's vow to protect Lissa, her best friend and the last surviving Dragomir princess, or dropping out of the academy to strike out on her own and hunt down the man she loves. She'll have to go to the ends of the earth to find Dmitry and keep the promise he begged her to make. But the question is, when the time comes, will he want to be saved? Now, with everything at stake, and worlds away from St. Vladimir's and her unguarded, vulnerable and newly rebellious best friend, can Rose find the strength to destroy Dmitry, or will she sacrifice herself for a chance at eternal love? So just reading that summary, you understand what was so awful at the end of Shadowkissed. Okay, so plot and theme. The recent Strigoi attack at St. Vladimir's Academy was the deadliest ever in the vampire world, claiming the lives of Moroi students, teachers and guardians alike. Those not killed were taken when the Strigoi left, including Dmitry. I frantically drove into this book for the very first time as a teenager, completely heartbroken over the loss of Dmitry and the effect it had on Rose. Now, as an adult with knowledge of the outcome, I was still left feeling heartbroken at the end of Shadowkissed. So Rose spends the majority of the book travelling throughout Russia in search of Dmitry to end his life. Along her travels, she finds another individual, Sydney, whose job it is to keep the vampire world secret from the humans. She refers to her kin as alchemists. She lectures Rose regarding her habit of leaving dead Strigoi for others to find, deciding to sit by her side while Rose searches for Dmitry's hometown, Bayer. That's how you pronounce it, yes, Bayer. We meet a variety of new characters in Blood Promise, including Dmitry's family, an infamous Moroi nicknamed Zmei, and back with Lissa, a new friend who likes to get everyone into a little too much trouble. So with the books gradually becoming bigger, this one is sitting at 503 pages, as there is quite a lot of world building in it. Along with incredible world building, the pacing and emotional variety is enough to keep you hooked until the very last page. As is becoming her custom, Mead leaves the end on the cliffhanger, encouraging readers to find the next book spirit-bound and see what happens next. And then a little bit about the new characters for this one. So first we have Avery Lazar. She has brown hair and blue-grey eyes. She's Moroi, specialised in air and a little bit of spirit. Rebellious with a party girl nature, very powerful, manipulative and secretly unbalanced. Next we have Sydney Sage. She is 5'7", lightly tanned, dark blonde hair and brown eyes. She is a human, also known as the Alchemist. She is raised to believe all vampires are evil creatures of the night. Very religious, the Alchemists are. She has a golden lily tattoo on her cheek infused with vampire compulsion magic, pretty much saying that she can't speak about vampires to any humans that aren't aware. This tattoo will stop her. And she is the main character in the spin-off series Bloodlines, which takes place, I think, a few months after the very last book in this series, so it's quite immediate. Next we have Ibrahim, or Abe, Mazur. He is Turkish, tan skin with black hair and brown eyes, Moroi, specialised in earth, known as Zmei in Russia. He is not royal, but still a powerful and wealthy Moroi, and revealed to be Rose's father, which she didn't know either. And then we have Oksana and Mark. So this is actually two people here. They are a married spirit user and shadow-kissed couple. Oksana is Moroi, Mark is a Dampier. Mark was a guardian but now lives a quiet life with Oksana, and both live in Bayer in Russia together. Then we have the Belikov family. So they're all Dampiers related to Dmitry as follows. So there's Eva Belikov as the grandmother, Alina, as the mother, Randall Ivashkov as the father. He doesn't really have much to do with them. Carolina, Sonia, and Victoria are his sisters. Paul is his niece, and Zoya and Katya are his... I put niece twice. Nephew. Paul is the nephew, and then Zoya and Katya are his nieces. And then I talk about Dmitry Belikov as a Strigoi up the top, because he is quite different as a Strigoi. He is still very tall, but very pale, shoulder-length brown hair and brown eyes rimmed in red. He is now a Strigoi, manipulative and power-hungry. He is now unable to feel emotions and wants Rose by his side as a Strigoi, more so for the power she would bring him than anything else. Book number 5, we have Spiritbound. Number 5 out of the 6 Vampire Academy series. After a long and heartbreaking journey to Siberia, Dimitri's birthplace, Rose Hathaway has finally returned to St. Vladimir's and to her best friend Lisa Dragomir. It's graduation, and the girls can't wait for their real lives outside the Academy's cold iron gates to finally begin. But even with the intrigue and excitement of court life looming, Rose's heart still aches for Dimitri. He's out there, somewhere. She failed to kill him when she had the chance. And now her worst fears are about to come true. Dimitri has tasted her blood, and she knows in her heart that he is hunting her. And if Rose won't join him, he won't rest until he has silenced her forever. But Rose can't forget what she learned on her journey. Whispers of a magic too impossible and terrifying to comprehend. Magic inextricably tied to Lissa that could hold the answer for all of Rose's prayers, but not without devastating consequences. Now Rose will have to decide what and who matters most to her. And in the end, is true love really worth the price? Okay, so talking about the plot and theme for book number 5. Spiritbound picks up almost immediately after the events of Blood Promise. Rose reads her latest love letter or death threat from Dimitri minutes before completing her final examinations. It is finally time for graduation for Rose, Lissa, and the rest, causing both excitement and uncertainty for the future ahead. Following a promise Lissa made to Rose shortly after her return, Rose, Lissa, and Eddie once again leave behind protection to attempt to find answers on the impossible task of bringing Strigoi back to life. A trip to Vegas, a jailbreak, and some amazing compulsion skills later, Rose is not quite sure what to believe. Once returning to relative safety, one would think the threat to Lissa's life minimal, only to find evil forces waiting to pounce. The impossible becomes possible, feelings are more confusing than ever, and Rose gets imprisoned for murder for a crime she did not commit but cannot prove. Pacey, motion, ending, and plot holes. So with less world building in this novel, the page count decreases from the last to 489 pages of pure shock value storytelling. Throughout the book, you really feel for the characters. I really need to point out how amazing a guy Adrian is. I became absorbed in the story, having forgotten how much Richelle Mead can draw you into the narrative. The book ends with Rose getting arrested, being told that she will face an official trial to determine her fate. Now the new characters for this book. So we have Gillian or Jill Mastrano. She is 5'11", pale with light brown hair and jade green eyes. She is Moroi, specialises in water, starts out gawky, clumsy and shy. She is determined, passionate and loyal. Then we have Mia Rinaldi. You may remember her from book number 1. She is short, doll-like appearance, blonde ringlets and blue eyes. Moroi specialises in water. She is no longer concerned with appearances. She has strong political opinions and she trains with guardians to become better at hand-to-hand fighting. She does a 180 completely. She becomes a good friend and ally in this from now on. Next we have Mikhail Tanner. He is tall, brown hair and blue eyes, Tihampia, love interest of Sonia Karp. Tries to find Sonia when she is Strigoi, but is unable to, and helps Rose and the gang revert Strigoi to original state, as he wants to one day be able to do the same for Sonia and get his love back. Next we have Robert Daru. He is the half-brother of Viktor Dashkov. Here's Moroi, specialises in spirit, first to restore Strigoi to original state. He lost his shadow-kissed bondmate and is losing his grip on reality. And then lastly, we have Ambrose. He has deep golden skin, black hair and brown eyes. He is a Dehampire, Queen Tatiana's personal masseuse, and has chosen not to be a guardian. Helps Rose and gang at the royal court. So he is a very rare individual. He is one of the very, very few male Dehampires that have chosen not to become a guardian, but then also hasn't just completely gone off the grid and hidden. While reading the book, you'll realise how rare that is. Last but not least, we have the very last book for the Vampire Academy series, Last Sacrifice. This wraps up everything in a neat little bow, and as you can see, is quite a big book as well. The summary. Rose Hathaway has always played by her own rules. She broke the law when she ran away from St. Vladimir's Academy with her best friend and last surviving Dragomir, Princess Lissa. She broke the law when she fell in love with her gorgeous off-limits instructor Dimitri. And she dared to defy Queen Tatiana, leader of the Moroi world, risking her life and reputation to protect generations of Dehampire guardians to come. Now the law has finally caught up with Rose for a crime she didn't even commit. She is imprisoned for the highest offence imaginable, the assassination of a monarch. She'll need help from both Dimitri and Adrian to find the one living person who can stall her execution and force the Moroi elite to acknowledge a shocking new candidate for the royal throne, Vasilisa Dragomir. But the clock in Rose's life is running out. Rose knows in her heart the world of the dead wants her back, and this time she is truly out of second chances. The big question is, when your whole life is about saving others, who will save you? Plot and theme. So Rose is in jail for the murder of Queen Tatiana, a murder she did not commit. With the trial fast approaching and the jury set against her, Rose has no choice but to go along with the daring breakout instigated by her group of family and friends. To keep her hidden and safe in the small remote towns scattered around America, Rose is accompanied by Sydney and Dimitri. They must discover who the secret Dragomir child is in order to protect Lissa and the future of Moroi's safety. With the return of the Dashkoff brothers, a Strigoi returning to life and constant running from the Moroi and Dehampires chasing them, Rose and Dimitri find themselves once again growing closer together while trying to keep each other safe. As they race against time to help Lissa and clear Rose's name, they must fight against the pull of their feelings and their honour to those around them. So as you can see, it all comes together at the end of this book, so it all ramps up. Pacing, emotion, ending and plot holes. The conclusion for the Vampire Academy series ends with the largest book, consisting of 594 pages. I'm very happy with the conclusion to Rose and Dimitri's story in this book and look forward to reading more about them later on. You spend a large portion of the book reading with bated breath, eager to determine everyone's fates. Overall, the ending is very satisfying, giving readers the option to continue with Adrian and Sydney's journey in the sequel series, Bloodlines. This is an amazing option if you're curious to see Adrian receive the recognition he deserves. I have not actually read the Bloodlines series at all, so one of my main reasons for rereading the series again was actually so that I can continue on with the Bloodlines series and finally give it a go, as it has finished and it is also a 6-book series, which is very highly rated. Okay, the new characters for this book. So once again we have Sonia Karp. She is pale with auburn hair and blue eyes. Moroi turned Strigoi turned Moroi again. She specialises in spirit, was a teacher at St. Vladimir's before choosing to turn Strigoi to avoid insanity from spirit, and she is the love interest of Mikhail Tanner. Then we have Gillian, or Jill Mastrano / Dragomir. There you go, there's a spoiler there. 5'11", pale with light brown hair and jade green eyes. She is Moroi, specialises in water, revealed to be Lissa's half-sister, and innocent and pure of heart. Next we have Natasha or Tasha Ozira. prefers the company of male guardians, strongly for political change, becomes desperate and violent, and uses flirtation to manipulate others. Then we have our favourite two characters, Rose Hathaway and Dmitry Belikov. So first up, there's Rose. She is 5'7", tan with brown hair and eyes. Vampire, she is now a guardian officially. Strong and extremely loyal. Grounded and responsible. No longer shadow-kissed. You'll have to read it to find out how that happens. And she is the love interest of Dmitry. Then Dmitry, he is still 6'7", Russian descent with dark brown hair and shoulder-length brown eyes. I said that the wrong way around. Brown eyes and shoulder-length brown hair. He is a vampire, guardian, lethal, disciplined, discreet and committed, overcome with guilt over actions while Strigoi. He is loving, strong and loyal, and the love interest of Rose. You actually see those two continue on in the spin-off Bloodline series as well, which I haven't reached just yet, but I'm interested to find out. So the recommendation. This series is targeted at young adults. However, it is a genre that can be appreciated by all. You follow along as the characters mature over a 2 to 3 year period, maturing and discovering themselves through adventures, heartbreak, and even death. I highly recommend reading this series. And I haven't given this much, but I gave this series a 5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend this series to anyone looking for an absorbing and amazing fantasy world, no matter the age. If you're a strong reader or still getting into novels, these books cater to all. So absolutely fantastic. They have romance without any explicit parts. It has adventure, it has thrills, fight scenes, learning, regular school. It has a bit of everything. And the paranormal, with them all being vampires or humans or related to the vampire world as well. Quite a fantastic series, so definitely one to check out if you haven't already, or if you haven't for years, to go back and check out once again. Thank you everyone for watching my review on the Vampire Academy series by Richelle Mead. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know below. Thank you. Bye.